Are you ready to make your furry friend adore you even more than they do now? Science has uncovered 11 straightforward actions you can take daily to strengthen your bond with your dog. From the way you greet them and say goodbye, to where they sleep and the tone of your voice, these tips can help you become your dog's favorite person. Let's dive into these adorable and effective methods, starting with one of the cutest things dogs love. Number 1. Kissing. In a recent scientific experiment, one scientist decided to gather 10 dogs and their owners in a room for an experiment. After an hour of quality time, she checked their oxytocin levels. You know, that lovey-dovey hormone that helps us bond. Turns out, the more smooches the owners gave their pups, the higher their oxytocin levels shot up. So, if you want your furry friend to adore you even more, according to this study, it looks like planting more kisses is the way to go. But remember, there's more than just kissing when it comes to giving your pooch some love. Number 2. Petting. In a study from South Africa, 18 dogs were paired with 18 humans, and the humans were tasked with giving the pups some good old-fashioned pets. After just a few minutes of cuddles, the dog's oxytocin, dopamine, and a bunch of other feel-good hormones all went through the roof. But that's not all. The study had a double whammy of benefits. They also discovered that the dog's blood pressure dropped, meaning that when you shower your furry friend with affection, it's not only good for boosting their lovey-dovey feelings towards you, but also for keeping them healthy. And guess what? The perks aren't just for the pooches. Turns out, humans get to reap all of these awesome benefits too. Number 3. Eye contact. Dogs communicate their love in more ways than just physical touch. A recent study sheds light on this, giving a fresh perspective to the term fur baby. An enthusiastic Japanese scientist, just as enamored with his canine companion as many of us are, set out to unravel the mystery behind the strong bond between humans and dogs. Gathering 30 pairs of dogs and their human counterparts in his lab, each pair spent 30 minutes together in a room. During this time, the humans engaged in petting, conversation, and prolonged eye contact with their furry friends. The results were fascinating. In pairs that shared extended gazes, the oxytocin levels surged by 130% in dogs and a staggering 300% in humans. Conversely, pairs that had minimal eye contact showed no such oxytocin increase. So what's the connection between this and considering your dog as your fur baby? Well, it turns out that when human mothers lock eyes with their babies, their oxytocin levels soar, strengthening their bond. Essentially, gazing at your dog triggers a similar hormonal response to a mother gazing at her baby. Now, the result of this study leads us to the next question: do dogs have a special bond with their owners, or are they just naturally friendly towards everyone? Number 4. Sense of security. An Austrian scientist came up with a fascinating study to delve into this question. She placed dogs in a room with a challenging puzzle toy filled with pieces of sausage. The twist? The dogs were accompanied by either their owner, a stranger, or left alone. Previous research hinted that dogs tend to use their owners as a kind of security blanket, leading them to explore and engage more when their owners are present. But what happens when a random person joins the mix? Turns out it's a different story. Dogs with their owners in the room spent more time working on the toy compared to when they were alone or with a stranger. This suggests a stronger sense of comfort and security when their owners are around. But here's the kicker: whether a stranger was in the room or not, or if they were left solo, didn't really make a big difference in how long they engaged with the toy. So seems like having their human around does indeed hold a special significance for our furry pals. Number 5. Training methods. Alright, let's talk about what doesn't sit well with our furry pals. In Portugal, they took a deep dive into the effects of different training methods on our canine companions. They studied 92 dogs trained using either rewards-based techniques, aversive methods, or a blend of both. And here's the results. After the training sessions, the dogs subjected to aversive methods showed more signs of stress and had higher levels of cortisol, aka the stress hormone. But wait, it gets even wilder. This study didn't stop at just observing the dogs during and right after their training sessions. They went a step further and conducted a cognitive bias test when the dogs weren't in training mode. And guess what? The dogs trained with aversive methods turned out to be more pessimistic, showing a gloomier outlook on life compared to their peers trained with rewards-based methods. So, if you're all about having a happy pup, this study strongly suggests sticking to rewards-based training methods and leaving the punishment tactics at the door. Number 6. Doggy voice. Using the dog voice. We've all been guilty of it at some point, right? That high-pitched, sugary sweet tone that seems to come out whenever our furry friends are around. But does it actually make your pup like you more? Well, a study from the University of York in the UK decided to dig into this question. They compared how dogs reacted to the dog voice versus a regular adult voice. Turns out, when spoken to in the dog voice, dogs spent more time gazing at the person and gravitated closer to them physically, compared to when a regular adult voice was used. So it seems there might be something to that silly voice after all. And hey, you can't have a dog voice without a ridiculously cute nickname for your pup, right? Drop your dog's craziest nickname in the comments, and let's see whose is the most hilarious. Number 7. Spending time. So now you know the drill. Petting, chatting, and locking eyes with your furry friend all help strengthen your bond. But guess what? There's something even easier and cost-free that does wonders. Just spending time with your dog. A study found that the more time you hang out with your pooch, the less likely they are to suffer from separation anxiety. Plus, another study revealed that the more time you invest in them, the fewer behavior issues they tend to have. But here's the million-dollar question. What do dogs dig more, quality time with you or treats? Well, researchers in Atlanta, Georgia set out to settle this debate once and for all. They conducted 3 experiments to get to the bottom of it. In the first 2, they peeked into the dogs' brains using MRIs while presenting them with different objects symbolizing either food or praise. Then, in the 3rd experiment, they placed the dogs in a Y maze with food waiting in one branch and their beloved human in the other. And what did they find? It was a split decision. Some dogs went gaga for food while others were all about the human praise. But here's the kicker. Whichever preference a dog had stayed consistent across all 3 experiments. So, they were either major foodies or hardcore people lovers. Now let's uncover what your furry companion prefers. Coming to you or making a beeline for the treats in the bowl? If they come bounding straight to you, congrats! You've got yourself a fur buddy who cherishes your company above all else. But if they head for the food bowl, no need to feel disheartened. They might just be a bit food-focused. But rest assured, they still love you to bits. Keep in mind though, the results of this experiment could vary depending on the type of treats you use or how long it's been since your pooch last saw you. And remember, these findings aren't set in stone. They might not apply to every single situation, so take them with a grain of salt. Number 8. Attachment style. Now, let's touch on a study about a simple yet effective way to strengthen the bond with your furry friend. Scientists from Hungary examined how a dog owner's attachment style impacts their canine companion. By surveying 1,508 dog owners, they uncovered a correlation between a dog's likelihood of developing separation anxiety and their owner's attachment style. Specifically, dogs were more prone to separation anxiety if their owners exhibited an avoidant attachment style. But what does this mean exactly? The study defines an avoidant attachment style as owners who tend to shy away from intimate contact and affection. So one way to help prevent separation anxiety in your pup is by showering them with plenty of love and affection, reassuring them that you'll always be there for them. Number 9. Sleeping with your dog. Now, on the topic of giving them love, let's tackle a question that almost every pet owner has a strong opinion about. Should you let your dog sleep with you? According to Dr. Dana Varble, the Chief Veterinary Officer for the North American veterinary community, allowing your pet to bunk with you is generally a positive thing. She highlights that pets who share sleeping quarters with their humans tend to develop stronger bonds and trust levels with their owners. Additionally, Dr. Varble points out that dogs and cats closely bonded with their humans experience additional health benefits, such as increased levels of oxytocin and dopamine, 2 neurotransmitters linked to well-being. Whether or not you opt to let your furry friend snuggle up with you at night, there's one thing every dog owner must do: say hello and goodbye to their pup. And fortunately, scientists have explored the best approaches for both of these interactions. Number 10. Greetings. First, let's talk about how to properly greet your pup. In a study conducted by a Swedish scientist, participants were tasked with entering a room where their dogs were present. The individuals, already familiar to the dogs, greeted them in one of 3 ways: talking to them while offering physical contact, solely speaking to them, or completely ignoring them. With 18 pairs of humans and dogs involved, blood samples were taken to measure the dog's oxytocin levels post-greeting. Take a guess at which type of greeting elicited the highest increase in oxytocin. You got it, the combination of verbal communication and physical touch. Not only did this type of greeting result in heightened oxytocin levels, but it also led to the most significant decrease in cortisol, the stress hormone among the dogs. Number 11. Saying goodbye. But what about saying goodbye? An Italian study tackled this question by having people either pet their dogs for a minute before leaving or not pet them at all before departing. Interestingly, the dogs that received some last-minute affection before separation exhibited calming behaviors for a longer period while waiting for their owner's return. This study highlights that dogs experience less stress when they receive a little love right before being left alone. So, there you have it. 11 simple things you can do every day to get your dog to love you more. If you made it this far, I hope you and your pup have an even better relationship now. Consider liking the video and subscribing to our channel if you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one.